Tonight on The Buzz, we are introducing a new segment called NAB Insight, where we go behind the scenes and talk with the folks who are staging or presenting at our industry's largest trade show. As our lead-off guest, we've invited Chris Brown, the Executive Vice President for Conventions and Business for NAB, to talk about their plans for this year's show and highlight some of the new features they've added for this year. Next, we compare the benefits of purchasing versus renting your production gear. When the time comes to purchase, Barbara Griffith, the president of SCL Equipment Finance, can help you more than a bank, as she explains tonight. Or when you need to rent gear, a new web service called ShareGrid connects equipment owners with equipment renters. Tonight, CEO Marius Ciocirlan explains why he created ShareGrid and how they differ from traditional rental houses. Next, most of us have done projects on the road, but DPA Microphones is taking remote broadcasts to a whole new level. They've partnered with JPL to put a DPA microphone on the next Martian rover to provide live audio and video of a Mars landing in February 2021. René, Morch, head of product management for DPA Microphones, explains what they are doing. All this, plus James DeRuvo with our weekly doddleNEWS update. The buzz starts now.
Since the dawn of digital filmmaking.
Authoritative.
One show serves a worldwide network of media professionals.
Current.
Uniting industry experts.
Production.
Filmmakers.
Post-production.
And content creators around the planet.
Distribution.
From the media capital of the world in Los Angeles, California, the Digital Production Buzz goes live now.
Welcome to the Digital Production Buzz, the world's longest-running podcast for the creative content industry, covering media production, post-production, and marketing around the world. Hi, my name is Larry Jordan. The Buzz has provided in-depth coverage of NAB for 10 years. It's a chance for me to return to my roots of live broadcast and share with you interviews and activities happening live on the trade show floor. Earlier this year, NAB asked if we would be interested in working more closely with them, not just in covering this year's show, but in helping our listeners understand all the additional resources, both free and paid, that NAB provides during the show that are away from the show floor. The more we got to talking, the more I realized that there was a whole lot of great conferences, presentations, and information that I didn't know about, and I've been going to NAB for more than 30 years. The best thing that any of us can do to keep up with all the changes that we're surrounded by is to keep learning. My goal over these next 8 weeks leading up to NAB is to help all of us learn what NAB makes available so that you can see not only the latest toys on the show floor, but learn how to best integrate them into your business in these additional sessions. We call this segment NAB Insight, and we'll have a new one every week. And there's no better way to start than with the man that is heading up the planning for the entire NAB event, Chris Brown. He'll join us right after the news. By the way, if you enjoy The Buzz, please give us a positive rating and review in the iTunes store. We appreciate your support to help us grow our audience. And now it's time for our weekly doddleNEWS update with James DeRuvo. Hello, James. What's the news this week?
Larry, it's the second week of February already.
It is. I tell you, the time is flying by. In another 2 or 3 breaths, it's going to be NAB, which is 2 months away.
I was going to say, what is it, 8 weeks? Good grief.
So what's our lead story?
Nikon wants you to trade in your DSLR, and they don't care what DSLR you have, for a new Z-Series camera, and they're willing to pay you to do it. Less than 4 months after announcing the new Z7 and Z6 full-frame mirrorless cameras, Nikon looks to be boosting sales by offering a trade-up to Z promotion. This promotion will give users up to $400 plus the value of your DSLR for any Z7 series camera, or $200 in trading up to the Z6 mirrorless camera. And Nikon is also offering an additional $100 cash back for the FTZ lens mount adapter when you buy your mirrorless camera. Meanwhile, for our listeners in Europe, users are getting up to 500 euros cash back when you purchase a Z series mirrorless camera, and you don't have to trade in your camera. And if you do the conversion rate, that's an additional $172 over what we're getting here in the States.
You've mentioned before that DSLR sales are declining. Is this a way for Nikon to encourage users to move to mirrorless cameras?
I think it may be, and sooner or later everybody will. But many are speculating that while Nikon's PR campaign kept users excited for the launch of the Z series, that really hasn't translated into the kind of camera sales that Nikon was hoping for. By offering this trade-in promotion, it should stimulate users who are on the bubble to go ahead and pull the trigger. As for the death of the DSLR, I don't really think the DSLR is going to die anytime soon, at least not for a while. But because there are enough diehard DSLR users out there to keep it going.
Okay, Nikon's our lead story. What's next?
Blackmagic is addressing battery issues with a camera update to the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. So this update, version, I think it's 6.1, fixes an issue on how the camera monitors battery life to make it more accurate. And plus, it better manages the battery power consumption to extend it. Plus, also, they've added support for pixel remapping that will recalibrate your pixels for more accurate color and dynamic range as time goes on, and improved autofocus performance and several housekeeping fixes.
Fixing bugs is always a good idea. What's behind this?
While filmmakers love the images coming out of the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, I mean, I've seen the footage. It's gorgeous. Their chief gripe has been that the camera could suddenly shut down from a dead battery, even though the camera says there's nearly half of the battery life remaining. Apparently, it's just very poor at estimating how much battery life you have. So listening to user feedback, Blackmagic has a fix that not only more accurately shows you what battery life you have left, but it better manages the camera power to extend that battery life even further. But for me, I like the recalibration of your pixels option. That enables you to keep your color and brightness accurate as time goes on, and I think that's a nifty feature.
I'm sensing a trend here. We've covered Nikon and Blackmagic. So what other camera manufacturer caught your eye this week?
Sony is offering a high frame rate license for the Sony Venice camera, and it'll be coming this summer. Version 4 of the camera update will open up frame rates up to 120 frames per second in 4K and 60 frames per second in 6K with the new firmware update and a purchased HFR license. Support for Sony's OXCN XT codec is also available, shooting in 4K, when using the AXS R7 external recorder. Boy, you just gotta love Sony's proprietary obsession. And they will also have frame rates of up to 60 frames per second in 4K ProRes and XCD.
Great. Just what we need. Another new codec. So how much is this thing going to cost?
How much is it going to cost? Well, we don't really know yet, but Sony expects to ship it in June of 2019, so I'm guessing we'll have a clearer picture come NAB time. Meanwhile, version 3 isn't out yet. It will offer 6K and 5.7K widescreen options as well, and that'll be available next month.
Well, that's a lot of news about cameras. What other stories are you covering this week?
Other stories we're following include Rode is launching their My Rodecast podcast competition. You can win up to $100,000 for making a 2 to 3 minute podcast. And we finally have a price for the Panasonic S1 and S1R mirrorless cameras. They're about $2,500 body only for the S1 and $3,700 body only for the S1R.
So where can we go on the web to learn more about the stories you and your team are covering?
All these stories and more can be found at doddleNEWS.com.
And James DeRuvo is the editor-in-chief of DoddleNEWS and joins us every week. We'll see you next Thursday.
Have a good weekend.
Here's another website I want to introduce you to, doddleNEWS.com. DoddleNEWS gives you a portal into the broadcast, video, and film industries. It's a leading online resource presenting news, reviews, and products for the film and video industry. DoddleNEWS also offers a resource guide and crew management platform specifically designed for production. These digital call sheets, along with their app, directory, and premium listings, provide in-depth organizational tools for busy production professionals. DoddleNEWS is a part of the Thalo Arts community, a worldwide community of artists, filmmakers, and storytellers. From photography to filmmaking, performing arts to fine arts, and everything in between, Thalo is filled with resources you need to succeed. Whether you want the latest industry news, need to network with other creative professionals, or require state-of-the-art online tools to manage your next project, there's only one place to go: doddleNEWS.com. Chris Brown is the Executive Vice President for Conventions and Business Operations at the National Association of Broadcasters. He and his team are responsible for producing all of the NAB's major events, including the NAB Show Las Vegas and the NAB Show New York. Hello, Chris. Welcome back.
Hey, Larry, how are you? Good to be with you again.
Well, I'm delighted to welcome you as the inaugural guest of our new series called NAB Insight, which leads us up to this year's show. So what are your plans coming up for April?
Oh, lots of things in the works, Larry. As you know, here we are really about almost exactly 2 months out, not that we're counting, but and we are in the chute, as it were, in terms of really starting to put the finishing touches on things. In some cases, we're still in process on some of our key programs, particularly on the education or conference side. As you know, that's a process that we'll be tucking in right up until the last minute as we kind of get speakers finalized, panels prepped, and a lot of work goes into that. So, but we're excited about the show. It's looking, there's quite a lot going on. And as we, talked last year, pace of change is unbelievable, continues to be, which, always gives us a lot of things to focus on and bring to it. So we're excited about how it's all shaping up. And so far, pre-registration's running strong, a little bit ahead of last year. That's a good sign. So right now, I think our momentum is feeling pretty good.
Well, let's get into the specifics. Let's start with the theme. What's our focus?
Yeah, we changed it up a little bit this year. The theme this year is Every Story Starts Here. And you'll see some variants on that as we message out to kind of get people to actually think about that and kind of put themselves in the middle of that idea, which is your story starts here. But, this is a little bit of a turn from where we have been the last couple of years. We've been sort of trying to really focus on, the convergence side of what's happening and to talk about the idea around the converging of media, entertainment, and technology. So that was our MET theme that we had for the last couple of years, which we felt really did do a good job of kind of describing the dynamics of how those, three industries, three, technology spheres, if you will, are sort of coming together. But, it was also something that, appealed to a bit more of the technician or the technical side of what we do, perhaps, and was a little less about the emotion of what's behind the industry that we're all in. And in reality, that's what I love about the show is that the people who come and participate, the people who engage, help us put this together. People are in this business because they're passionate about it, and at the core, it's about storytelling, and that's what production, post-production, distributing this content, making great content, is all about. So, through this theme, I think we're just trying to bring it back to that, and to also just highlight the fact that, hey, guess what? It's been talked about a lot over the last year or two. Content is still king. I mean, it is no matter what you say. We can have the show be about and talk about all the greatest tech on the planet, but all the great tech on the planet can't make, a really bad story that much better. So that's kind of what we're focused on, with the theme this year.
Well, one of the things that I learned in talking with you in past years is how far in advance of a show you have to work in your planning, from a year to a year and a half, which means you're looking at your crystal balls last summer, trying to figure out where the industry is going this spring. What are the key trends that you're focusing on the show floor and in the conference for this year?
Great question, Larry. It is an interesting process, and I think we do our best. We try to leave ourselves a couple of to be determined kinds of opportunities, whether that's on the floor or in the sessions, so that we can fill them in a little bit later. But this year, getting to answer your question, I think I'd point first to some of the new things that we have on the floor, and kind of one of the concepts that we're really focused on this year is to add a bit more, bring a bit more of the education on the floor concept, to the show, and that's giving people the opportunity to kind of engage in, predominantly shorter form kinds of content, presentations, short panels, individual presentations, some demo presentations, that type of thing, in theaters that we've laid throughout the show floor. And this year, there'll be some that are coming back from last year, things like our podcasting pavilion, which actually did really well last year, and podcasting is a real thing, obviously, and a growing thing, advanced advertising, some of those. To that, we've added 4 new pieces, AI and cloud. I'm calling it the AI and Cloud Campus, so bringing in a little bit more focus and sharper focus around AI and, of course, cloud and all that's meaning for workflow these days. Destination 5G is another area. 5G is something we just felt like, we needed to talk about one way or the other. And at this point, because it's kind of still, it's kind of there, but not quite there, we still thought it was more about discussion, so made sense for education and theater and probably on the floor, and less so, big formal rollout through conference. As that develops, maybe more coming there. Esports. So we have something called the Esports Experience. Really excited about this because I just think there's so many threads here that relate to, sit at the core of our show and the media and entertainment world. And this, sort of slice of what we do is really growing and really gaining momentum. So very excited about that. And then the 4th new piece is something we're calling the in-vehicle experience. So that's about the automobile, thing from an in-car entertainment experience perspective, what that means to people in this business and what it might mean in the future. Going to be a lot more opportunity, in vehicles. And I think in the future, this evolves just from your personal automobile to moving vehicles of all kinds.
Well, before we run out of time, tell me about Birds of a Feather. What's that?
Birds of a Feather is actually a new program we're introducing to specifically dig in and address the needs of the post-production community, the cine production community, if you will, with programs that are kind of built by them for them. So we're going to be reaching out to a lot of the guilds, unions, societies, and other groups that really represent the craftsmen, in this business, and inviting them in to kind of talk about their needs, their challenges, opportunities, and do it in as the name would suggest, in more of a peer-to-peer sharing type of way. We'll have programs that'll be done in traditional meeting space in the convention center, but we're going to also link that to a new feature on the show floor, which we're hoping will be kind of a central, gathering spot for that production post-cine community that we're going to call Cine Central. This is truly still in the works. You won't find any information on it yet anywhere because we're still building it, getting support and participants kind of fully lined up. But it'll be in the central hall, which is kind of where a lot of that production equipment and technology is displayed. And again, it will be about gathering place, quick demos, seeing the rock stars, hearing from, those people, that are on the line doing this day to day. So a lot of peer-to-peer, a lot of by the community for the community. So we're excited about that. We feel we need to do more of this for a lot of the different communities in our show, and this will be, some of the early efforts we're looking at to kind of do that for at least this side of the community.
What would you say to somebody who has attended NAB in the past, but is still on the fence about whether they should attend this year? How would you encourage them to attend?
Well, I think I'd point right away to that pace of change. Again, I just think at this point, it's so critical that people be engaged with others in their industry, whether those are, partners, collaborators, or even competitors, to kind of understand how all the different sides of our business are trying to approach, this amazing and significant change that we're all working through. To understand really what the drivers are, what those new trends are, both from a back end perspective, which would be more what you see directly at the show, so the technology and all of those drivers that are impacting that, but also there's a lot of discussion at the show about the business side of it, which means consumer perspective and how people are looking at consumers and the data that's represented there, and how they're doing a better job of serving that consumer base, and therefore what that means for those businesses as well. So again, I just think, and we do our best to kind of present that full landscape and then highlight as much of the new, or at least, kind of engender conversation, encourage conversation and debate, to help bring all those good, thoughts, ideas, and sharing out. I think it just gets down to, look, it's a really, really unique time that we're rolling through. And, the more information you have, the more understanding you have of kind of how that landscape is evolving, I think the better off you're going to be going forward. And there just isn't another place like our event that brings all of that together. So I'd put it that way, I think.
Chris, for people that want to register for this year's event, where can they go on the web?
Website is nabshow.com, so pretty simple, and pretty much on just about every page of the site you'll find an opportunity to bounce to a registration site, and with options and all the different packages that are available there. So,
Chris, thank you so much. That website is nabshow.com. Chris Brown's Executive Vice President for Conventions and Business Operations at NAB. And Chris, thanks for joining us today.
Appreciate it, Larry. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye. Barbara Griffith is the president of SCL Equipment Finance. Businesses need capital so they can grow or purchase new equipment or even update older technology. And SCL has been a leader in providing capital financing for more than 25 years. Hello, Barbara. Welcome back.
Hello, Larry. Thank you for having me.
Tonight, we're looking at different ways for filmmakers to get the gear they need, either by renting it or purchasing it. So to get us started, how would you describe what SCL Equipment Finance does?
SCL Equipment Finance is an equipment finance company, and many of the users that are renting equipment right now will one day want to own their piece of equipment. So, for example, if they're renting a Red digital camera, and they're renting that camera for $300 a day, but they really only need that camera maybe 3 or 4 times a year, it would be best that they go ahead and use a rental company and rent that equipment. On the other side, if that production company is using that camera 3 or 4 times a month, and their payment is, let's say, $500 a month for that gear, then it might be a wise decision to go ahead and finance that equipment rather than rent the equipment. They would have usage of that equipment at any time. Business is very good. We had our biggest year last year. We've had a great first 30 days entering January. Businesses are continuing to invest in their companies.
Well, businesses can be large or they could be small, and large purchases require good credit. What can we do to make ourselves look more attractive to a finance company?
anybody, whether you're a consumer or a business, we have a Experian credit report. So that would be Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. Those are the 3 reporting agencies that report on our personal credit. Once a year, everyone, whether you're a business or just simply a consumer, should check their personal credit. There is one credit reporting agency. It's called annualcreditreport.com. You can go on that site and you can pull your credit once a year. Take a look at that credit. If you see something that is derogatory, you can get online and dispute it right from that website. So make sure that you do look at your personal credit. If you see collections, if you see lates, you must take care of those. Your best credit that you can score that you can get is 800. Anything less than 650 is a problem. 670, you're in a C marketplace, meaning that you're going to get a higher interest rate on anything that you purchase. So you want to kind of push to about a 700, and it can easily be done by just paying your bills on time and keeping track of your personal credit.
Since not all film projects make the big bucks, sometimes we do get behind. And what can we do if our credit rating is lower than we'd like, aside from paying our bills on time?
So you should call your creditors and let them know, I'm going to be late or I'm going to make a half of a payment, and really connect with your creditors. But again, the credit reporting agencies are there for a reason, the ability to pay your debt. That's why they report. And then your banking institutions are there to give you debt, let's call it, whether that's a mortgage or an equipment loan or a credit card or a car. And so they have to determine the risk versus your ability to pay back. So in best suggestion is don't overdo it. There's nothing wrong with being conservative so that you have the ability to pay your bills.
Well, you've talked about a personal credit score, but is there a business credit score? And if so, what's the difference?
Yes, very good question. You have 2 credit reports when you're a business, whether that's a proprietorship, a corporation, an LLC. All companies need to understand that your personal credit and your business credit are really 2 different entities. So let's just say that John is a film producer and he is got good credit. Let's say it's 680. And his business name is ABC Films. He wants to buy a camera. He gets the camera loan and he pays that camera loan on time. And now he's created business debt under ABC Productions because ABC Productions is the one that's paying the bill, not John, the customer, the proprietorship, but ABC Productions. So then they will be created a business report. Those business reports range from Dun & Bradstreet. They're an independent company. They're not owned by federal government. They're independent, but they rate on businesses. How well does your business pay back their debt? Then there's Experian. Experian also has a business profile that they can report to. And the last thing is PayNet. PayNet is a new way. It's been around, I would say, no more than 15 years. And they report, all banks will report business debt. How well does John at ABC Productions pay his camera loan? John lands a large contract with Disney, and he needs $100,000 worth of new equipment to produce this new gig with Disney. He goes and he applies for a new loan for a piece of equipment, we'll say. The lenders will now look at either Dun & Bradstreet, PayNet, and or the Experian credit report to see how his company, not so much John, but his company has been paying their bills. Now, in John's case, he's been paying his bills on time. So that's going to give the credit underwriting a lot better feeling about how John manages his debt and how he buys equipment for his company, because he now has a profile for ABC Productions, just like he has a profile for John under a personal credit history.
For people who are weighing where to get their money to purchase equipment, how do they decide who to get financing from?
A good way to figure out where to get your funding is through the vendor that sells the equipment. Mr. Vendor, do you have a finance company? So that's always a good stop. A lot of clients think that they have to walk into their bank like Wells Fargo or Bank of America, and that's not always the easiest thing to do. Remember that they're federally regulated, and it's very hard to get that type of financing programs through traditional banking network. So equipment financing is a number one way that businesses will buy equipment, because the rules are much easier. Remember that our collateral is the equipment. So always ask the vendor that you're buying the equipment from, and that usually will direct you into a reliable source. You know, some of the biggest problems I see in our industry is that they have no clue that we even exist. So they're out there all year long trying to save money to buy that piece of equipment for that next gig. And that's really hard when they could actually get a financing program to help and pay for that piece of equipment as that piece of equipment works and produces an income. There is the ability to have financing.
We know the banks aren't going to go anywhere, but SCL is a small company. How do you reassure us that you're trustworthy?
Time in business is very important. So we've been in business 25 years and we've never changed our name. Well, we've been pretty steady in the community, and we are contracted out with different banks, both from Wall Street all the way to traditional key banks. So how do you know we're trustworthy? That's a very good question, Larry. And, you know, I shop too. I shop for things. And sometimes I have to just feel in my gut, do I trust these people? I would also do a Google review. What does the Google review say? That's a very good one. So you want to always work with a reputable company, no matter what. I prefer to tell the clients to go to a smaller bank, a credit union, where you can talk to Joe. And you can say, Joe, I need a credit line. And Joe can help you, or at least tell you the guidelines to get that credit line. So a lot of times it's the Google reviews and just following your instinct of what that company sounds like on the phone.
And for people who feel they need to get their next capital loan from you, where can they go on the web to learn more about SCL Equipment Finance?
Google SCL Equipment Finance and it will pop up. And on that website, we have a calculator. We have information on how to look at your credit. We have information on leasing versus buying, renting versus buying. So the website has a lot of valuable information. And again, that's SCL Equipment Finance. And we do specialize in the broadcast industry, so we know that industry well and we understand that client base.
And Barbara Griffith is the president of SCL Equipment Finance. And Barbara, as always, it's fun to chat. Thank you so much for sharing your time.
Thank you, Larry.
Marius Ciocirlan is the co-founder and CEO of ShareGrid, a peer-to-peer marketplace where filmmakers and photographers make money renting their video and photo equipment to other local creatives while letting ShareGrid handle ID checks, payment, and insurance. And before he founded ShareGrid, he was a senior product designer at Groupon. Hello, Marius. Welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure, and thanks for sharing your time with us today. I know that I read about it in the open, but give me a better description of what ShareGrid does.
The simplest way and the easiest way I typically describe it's like the Airbnb for camera equipment. It's pretty simple. If you have a lot of equipment, photography equipment, lighting equipment, audio equipment, video equipment that you're not using all the time, you could rent it out to somebody locally. And we have a marketplace where you could list it, and then people will rent it directly from you. You either accept the request or you deny it. But we kind of handle everything in between, the contracts, the insurance, the payment, the verifications, stuff like that. And then everyone meets up locally and they exchange the gear. And it's a great way to make a little bit extra money, meet new people in the community, and put those the equipment to work when you're not using it.
Why did you decide to start the company?
I originally went to film school. So coming out of film school, a lot of my friends kind of went down the path where they decided to invest in a lot of equipment, hoping that having the equipment would increase their chances to get hired as a freelancer. I was a little bit more risk adverse and decided to go down the corporate path and got a corporate job. But a lot of my friends ended up buying all this equipment. You know, sometimes they would get jobs, but sometimes they wouldn't. So their equipment would be sitting around, and I kept hearing that they were planning on renting it out, but there was not a lot of great options out there. Craigslist was around, but that wasn't necessarily very safe. And then renting out to friends was a good option, but that it didn't happen very frequently. By the time I thought of ShareGrid, I kind of moved on out of the film industry. I started working at Groupon, designing their mobile app. And being in Silicon Valley, where I was based, Airbnb was very prominent. And I thought that's a great concept to get underutilized assets to work. That's the idea of helping my friends really popped into my head. Both my co-founder, Arash, and I, my co-founder is also a photographer. He kind of had the same idea. We decided to partner up on it and work together on it.
There's lots of rental houses for production gear, especially in larger cities. Why would somebody consider using ShareGrid?
Like I mentioned, I went to film school. So in film school, renting from rental houses was a little bit scary. Being new to the industry, renting from a rental house, you typically have to call them up. If you looked at their website, they wouldn't necessarily have prices up front on their website. So you'd have to call them up. The first question would be, what's your budget? And you would tell them your measly small budget, and they would sometimes almost scoff at you like, oh, I have to deal with you. So that wasn't very welcoming. And then furthermore, if we got through the negotiation of how much I would end up paying for all the equipment, and if it was available, then the hard question, which is, do you have insurance? And most of the time I wasn't aware where I get insurance. And by the time I would talk to brokers, get all the insurance paperwork, pay for half my budget would go towards insurance. It was just really challenging, and it would take sometimes days to get a rental. And that's why we decided to build ShareGrid. One of the reasons was because we wanted to make it easier. We wanted to make it straightforward where you go on a website, you see the prices. The prices you see are the prices you pay. There's no haggling. Insurance is as easy as pressing a few buttons and you check out online, so you don't have to talk to anybody on the phone or anything. So that was convenience and really price, making sure that you could see upfront price transparency. And that was some of the reasons we decided to build it.
Let's focus on this insurance issue for just a second. If I've spent $50,000 and bought an Arri Alexa, I'm really nervous about giving that to somebody that I don't know, though I would love to get some money back to pay for it. How do I guarantee that I'm not going to lose a $50,000 camera if it comes back broken? Walk me through that scary part of this picture.
That's typically, whenever I tell someone the idea, they said, wow, that's a great idea, but how am I going to get covered? That's the second question. Before we even launched ShareGrid, we spent 6 months figuring out insurance. And the way it works on ShareGrid is that every renter is required to have coverage. But what we've done is made it really easy for those renters to get coverage. So when an owner of let's say our Alexa puts up their gear, we require for them to list their replacement value. Based on the replacement value, we require the renter to make sure they have enough coverage to cover the 100% of that replacement value. And the way we make it really easy for renters to purchase their insurance is that we've made a exclusive partnership with Athos Insurance, which is a leading insurance broker in Los Angeles. Basically, renters fill out an application and it's all online, and they could purchase insurance up to $750,000. The really cool thing is that once you purchase that insurance as a renter, anyone you rent on from ShareGrid will automatically get certificates of insurance without them having to do anything. It's all automatic. Furthermore, if you purchase insurance from ShareGrid from Athos, that insurance also works outside of ShareGrid. So you're not stuck within just our system. You could use that on any other rental house. But the nice thing about the owner is that they receive a certificate of insurance for that rental, knowing that they're going to be covered for that replacement value of that camera.
So where does ShareGrid make its money?
So we make our money on each transaction. Basically, we take 15% from the owner side every time their camera rents out, and then we make a small convenience fee from the renter side, 5% on the renter side.
So the owner of the camera sets the rental price knowing they're going to pay a 15% commission to you. So they've got control over what their gear rents for. Is that a correct statement?
Exactly. So when you go to our website, you list your gear. We give you some suggestions what you should price your gear on based on data we have, based on the market and what that camera is currently kind of renting for. But you're in complete control when you want to rent out your gear and for how much you want to rent out your gear.
One of the big issues that you were trying to solve is the issue of insurance. But the other issue is going to a website, looking at all the choices as a rentee, and not having a clue what you need. So how can you help somebody who's, say, going on their first or second shoot or is inexperienced in determining what gear they need to make sure they get the right gear for their project?
Nowadays, there's so much education online, and that definitely helps. But I think people are still, what is an anamorphic lens? Why should I shoot anamorphic versus a different lens? We actually put out a lot of educational content on our YouTube. We created the largest ever lens test, anamorphic lens test actually, and other lens tests, similar lens tests. We've done various blogs and tutorials. So that's one way we try to educate people on what they should be renting. Furthermore, if they do have questions, we have our entire customer service team is in-house. Everybody that works for us has worked in the film or photography industry, so they're just knowledgeable about this industry. And then we do have a concierge on call as well. So if you ever want to talk to somebody, and this person has worked a rental house prior to working at ShareGrid for over 4 years, so has the knowledge to be able to give advice on what people should be renting.
Now that you've got this up and running, what is it that gets you excited about coming to work every day?
Really, it's the content that gets made. I mean, we do, hundreds of thousands of rentals a year. So it's just been wonderful to see all the content that has been created. And the one big thing is that we're helping up and coming filmmakers. It's the person that doesn't necessarily have a huge budget, but wants to shoot their feature film with the Alexa Mini, but without the help of ShareGrid, maybe they would have otherwise not been able to. And now they've created a wonderful film or a wonderful piece of content. So that's what gets me up, is hearing those stories. Also fixing all the bugs and problems that constantly come up, making sure that we're reliable and we're there for our customers when they need us. That gets, that's the short-term drive, but the long-term kind of passion is hearing those stories and featuring those members that have created just this wonderful work.
Marius, for people that want to learn more about ShareGrid or rent gear using ShareGrid, where can they go on the web?
Just ShareGrid.com. So it's ShareGrid, ShareGrid.com. If people are looking to list equipment on ShareGrid, we just released a data report called insights.sharegrid.com, and it gives you our top most rented gear, how much money it makes every single month, the average rental prices. So this could be a great tool if you're looking to get into renting out your gear, into guiding you as to which gear does really well on the website. And ShareGrid.com or insights.sharegrid.com. And if anyone has any questions, just email me at Marius@sharegrid.com, and that's Marius@sharegrid.com.
That's all one word, ShareGrid.com. And Marius Ciocirlan is the CEO and co-founder of ShareGrid. Marius, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I want to introduce you to a new website, Thalo.com. Thalo is an artist community and networking site for creative people to connect, be inspired, and showcase their creativity. Thalo.com features content from around the world with a global perspective on all things creative. Thalo is the place for creative folks to learn, collaborate, market, and sell their works. Thalo is a part of Thalo Arts, a worldwide community of artists, filmmakers, and storytellers. From photography to filmmaking, performing arts to fine arts, and everything in between, Thalo is filled with the resources you need to succeed. Visit Thalo.com and discover how their community can help you connect, learn, and succeed. That's Thalo.com. We all know about wireless microphones, but DPA is redefining remote by working with JPL to put a DPA microphone on Mars. And here to tell us more is René Morch. He's the head of product management for DPA microphones and first started working with the company back in 2006. Hello, René, welcome.
Thank you very much, Larry. Thank you.
How would you describe your role at DPA?
As you said, I'm heading the product management, which means my role is to secure that we have the right products in our portfolio, maintaining what we have, sometimes let some products die, and of course seeking new opportunities and seeking to find new ways to help our industry with new products.
Before we shift our gaze to outer space, I have to ask, what was it that first got you interested in microphones in the first place?
Since I was, 15, I was working as a sound engineer. As a front of house and a monitor sound engineer. So I've been working with professional audio for many years before I took my engineering degree at the university. I have had a profound interest in pro audio, and of course Denmark is really a country of pro audio, even though we are a fairly small country. Though DPA is for me just the best you can get.
DPA is based in Copenhagen. How did you first get involved with JPL in this project to Mars?
Really, JPL reaching out to us. So they had discovered our very small interface that goes either to an iPhone, that will not be the case on Mars, but also connect to a PC. So you can use a USB interface, and with a very small device, you can get extremely high quality audio from any of our microphones that can then connect to via this very little device. It's about 5 centimeters in diameter, 2 inches.
Walk me through this. What equipment are you planning to send to Mars?
Is this, you can say it's a converter, a AD converter of very high quality. It's a 2-channel device. On top of that, we have a very small preamplifier, so to say, and our condenser capsules. So the condenser capsule itself is our very famous 4006 or 4006, as it's referred to in the industry. Many sound engineers has been using this for ages. So this is really the 3 basic things that are going up there. So the AD converter, the preamplifier, and the capsule.
The microphone is the standard that you've been using for years. Have you done custom work on either the preamp or the A to D converter?
The only thing that we have added that is custom, that is not off the shelf, so to say, that is putting some mouse ears, as we call it, onto the preamplifier, so that it can be bolted to the side of the vessel of this rover going to Mars in 2020. That's the only real modification that has been made to our standard items.
I think I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask anyway. So then how different are the products that you're designing for space from the products that we can buy and use in our productions?
At a very similar level. There's no really engineering things gone into these units. So it's really off the shelf. So it's again, it states the quality and the high engineering skills that are put into our normal products. The only difference we made was really this mechanical alternation to the standard product.
It's got to make you smile. You want a mic for a production in Copenhagen or New York or Mars? It's the same mic.
That's true. We just came back from NAM last week. We also paid a visit to them at that point. And we actually picked out the specific microphone, the specific, the two other items that are going up there. So the CEO picked one item, I picked one item, and our head of R&D picked one item. So these are the ones going to Mars.
Oh, wow.
We took all the serial numbers of those and said, bye-bye. It will stay up there forever. That's, yeah.
What's the purpose of the project, aside from just the fact that you can brag about it to your grandkids?
That's the main reason. When the space shuttle, so to say, and it's not a shuttle, when the spacecraft enters the atmosphere of Mars, 4 cameras will be recording that entrance, and so will our microphones. They will be turned on at this point, so you can see the descent. This is what is always a crucial when you put something into space. You don't know exactly how it will end up. Will it hit the soil perfectly on the surface of Mars, or will it crash? And what happens during the time from it enters the atmosphere until it's on the ground? So that's basically what it's there to record. So the whole descent stage, you can say, from this space unit is when it enters the atmosphere. It will, of course, start to vibrate. It will start to generate noise because it goes through where it generates a lot of heat. So there's a heat shield below it. At this stage, the back shell will be pushed off. What they call the sky crane will appear, and thruster engines will start to be engaged. So all of this you will be able to hear. Then going further down towards the surface of Mars, you will see landing gear coming out. That means wires that are really lifting it down to the surface. Then these are detached. The sky crane flies away, and really that's the main mission for our part of the project. So you can see and hear what is going on at this stage.
How are you managing levels? Because it's 20 minutes to be able to talk to the mic. By the time you realize a level's too hot, it's too late.
That has been tested from home. But you're totally right. There's about a 20-minute travel back and forth, so only about 9 minutes from it's recorded until it's transferred to Earth. But the round trip, yes, that is about 20 minutes. You need to test everything back home, and that is, of course, what you will do, just like any other job where you're setting levels and trying to secure that you're on the good side.
When is the launch?
The launch itself is in August next year, and then it will go in orbit around the planets to go to its travel towards Mars, and it will touch down in February 2021.
Touchdown February 2021. That is a long time to wait.
It's about 2 years. Yes, it is. Yes.
What's the part that excites you the most about this project?
The fact that we're part of a space adventure, because this is seen from an engineering point of view. That's some of the most rough environments you can ever live in. So it has to withstand from being lifted from the ground. So the thrusters and the acceleration from that, and all the vibration on its travel out from the Earth atmosphere, leaving the Earth atmosphere, going into vacuum. That's a state that is, of course, crucial that it will survive, and re-entering the atmosphere of Mars and be able to withstand all the hassle that is there, and being lifted down to the surface of Mars. Hopefully, we will also be able to hear when it drives around. That's our best hope for both NASA, JPL, and us, that it will actually also survive this stage, so that you can hear the fluid running around, cooling down the electronics within or heating actually the electronics within the rover. The arms moving around, some of the gear, making it move, etc., etc., etc. So all these engineering skills that have been put into this is just enormous. It's fantastic. Being just a tiny part of that is for us just amazing.
Are you sending a backup device or just sending one of everything?
It's actually just one of everything. Of course, there's a lot of backup units that have already been delivered, and some of them will also be used for the next couple of years to do even further tests. A lot of tests have already been done just to enter that to this stage. But later on, the one that is going up there is really just one. It's all about weight, So even though we say it weighs only a few grams, they do consider every gram that goes up.
René, for people who want to be able to follow this or learn more about DPA microphones in general, where can they go on the web?
You go to our homepage. That is DPA microphones in one word .com. If you hit for it's actually on the front page. Otherwise, just search for NASA, and you will find more information about this.
That website is all one word, DPA Microphones, plural, dpamicrophones.com. And René Morch is the head of product management for DPA Microphones. René, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Larry.
I was just thinking, one of my concerns that we've been covering on The Buzz for a while is that the rate of change in our industry is exceedingly stressful. It is easy to get overwhelmed. As we were talking with the team at NAB, planning our new NAB Insight segment, I was pleased to hear that they are concerned as well, so much so that they've created a series of sessions called Birds of a Feather that are free to all attendees, specifically to help us better understand where our industry is going. As we talked, I realized that the NAB show is the only event that has a vested interest in the success of our entire industry. Unlike a particular vendor who creates products for a specific customer base, the NAB show succeeds when our entire industry is doing well. This is one of the reasons we here at The Buzz are pleased to be working with NAB. We both want our industry to do well. And with the worldwide audience of The Buzz, I'm happy to get the word out. Each week on The Buzz, we talk with a wide variety of content creators and industry vendors. So our focus for these new NAB Insight segments is to talk with thought leaders who can provide a different perspective to events in media and help us better understand and prepare for the future. We also want to focus on the free sessions at NAB. While the content at the NAB conference is legendary, sometimes the cost of the conference may be more than you can afford. We want to highlight events worth attending that won't cost extra. The annual NAB show is always a pivotal moment when, as an industry, we all get together to try to figure out where the future is taking us. Our NAB Insight segments are designed to give you a heads up on the sessions you really need to attend. Each week, from now until NAB in April, on the Digital Production Buzz. Just something I'm thinking about. I want to thank our guests this week, Chris Brown with NAB, Barbara Griffith with SCL Equipment Finance, Marius Ciocirlan with ShareGrid, René Morch with DPA Microphones, and James DeRuvo with doddleNEWS. There's a lot of history in our industry, and it's all posted to our website at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Here you'll find thousands of interviews, all online and all available to you today. And remember to sign up for our free weekly show newsletter that comes out every Saturday morning. Talk with us on Twitter at DPBuzz and Facebook at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Our theme music is composed by Nathan Doogie Turner with additional music provided by smartsound.com. Our producer is Debbie Price. My name is Larry Jordan, and thanks for listening to the Digital Production Buzz. Digital Production Buzz is copyright 2019 by Thalo LLC.